Wanted to hop on here because, we're at that time of the year where everybody has, jumped into the gym, jumped into some kind of program to change up their eating habits, to do this dry January, to do all things, right? Because we're the kind of, you know, culture that has to dive right in, and then we all expect these amazing results like really super fast. I kind of want to cut through a lot of the nonsense. In today's episode, I'm going to start with carbs. I don't know why, and I've been part of that, group as well over many years ago before I understood the science and did the research and tried everything out, tried to outsmart my own shit, tried to outsmart the science of it. But carbs, man, they get a bad rap. They have been shit on for decades and decades, and we can't blame anybody else but ourselves, right? We have this narrative in our society that carbs they're the villain, they're misunderstood, we've had diets come at us of no carbs, low carb, full carb, it's a struggle, and I get it, especially for midlife women. And I'm talking to my ladies anywhere from late 30s on up into the midlife era. I am 58 years old, and I too have gone through the cycle of change. Literally became so insulin resistant that I didn't want to admit it, and I didn't want to understand why my body could not break down the oats and the potatoes and all the fun starchy things that it could when I was in my 20s and 30s, when I was competing in CrossFit, bodybuilding, doing my endurance sports, running for 13 miles. I could fuel off of all of that back then, but then all of a sudden I got into my late 40s and my early 50s, and my body went, oh, hell no, we don't like these. They're setting some inflammation up, and your gut doesn't like it, and yada, yada, yada. So staying with the carbs, it's not the enemy, you guys. It's just that it's been talked about negatively, and most do not understand why we need it, where to time it. That's the biggest problem. And the fact that we have two different types of carbs. We have complex carbs, which are, I don't have any in front of me. I don't know what I was grabbing. Complex, which would be the higher fiber, low glycemic vegetables, right? Then we have simple carbs like fruit, your rice cake. There's a difference, which means you have to choose wisely when it comes to training day and rest and recovery day. So really at the end of the day, instead of getting up and just looking in the fridge and just going, okay, well, I have to eat to survive. Is today a training day? Or is it a rest and recovery day? Because your carb load is going to be different on both. Then I take it a little bit further with my tribe, because we have training days, but we also have 2 leg days. Now, if you are somebody who strength trains, and my tribe follows what I provide for them is a strength training. It is a progressive overload. So progressively overloading over time with deloads in between and all sorts of fun things. And we also insert the rest and recovery days, because you cannot bang out 7 days a week. We need to understand that carbs, are stored in the muscle as glycogen. They are a fuel source. Okay, I always love to use the car as an analogy situation, right? If you have a high performance car, say that Ferrari, okay, and somebody told you, dude, you should never fuel that car. I wouldn't put the best octane gas in there. No, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that. And then you listened to that narrative, and then you tried to take the car out over and over, and it didn't get down the street, and this high performance car started, putting along, and then the engine blows eventually because you didn't put the high octane fuel in it that it needed to do the job that you wanted it to, like drive fast and go places, right? A Ferrari owner would never not put that high octane gas. So why, as human beings, do we listen to the narrative out there of every single season that it's no carbs, low carbs, blah, 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 blah. Carbohydrates are one of the major macronutrient sources to fuel. This is an engine. This is my engine. I have spent a lot of money on this engine, and this engine needs to go a long time every day, 7 days a week. And I'm looking to stay on this earth 105, 110. Okay. If I don't fuel it with some high level complex carbs and on occasion simple, depending on what I'm doing, how on earth am I going to get up and go to the gym or get up and go do anything? Like, so when you guys pull back and ask questions and seek truth, I think that you will be far better off, okay? Right? It's a fuel source, okay? You need them on training day, you need them on recovery day as well, okay? Training day protocol, okay? I don't know you from Adam, but, so I can't really, and I don't know what your stats are, but if you're training on leg day, leg muscles, the most powerful muscles in the body, there's 640, right? Muscle is your largest metabolic organ, okay? Your BMR, metabolism, your AMR, your metabolism, right? If you're pumping the legs and it's a leg day, you know how hard leg day is. Could you imagine going to the gym and not having any fuel in the tank prior to leg day? Could you just imagine? And you've probably done that. You've probably been told to do that. But imagine this, the fact that you have no carbs in your body. We're going to talk right now, like I know that you know that protein is a non-negotiable. I would hope that you know also that fat is a non-negotiable, right? But we'll talk about fat in a later day. Carbs just seem to have this like thing, this villain thing, right? Imagine that you go to train legs and you're training at 65, 70% of your 1 rep max. You've been following this program and you have to hit hard at, anywhere from like 5 to 7 reps. We're going to go 4 to 5 rounds. That's just the compound move. Then we're going to put into play some leg extensions, some lunges, some other fantastic accessories, right? And then you get home and you're starving, and then you still skimp on the carbs. And then you go into the next day, and then you're looking at your progress because you're tracking. You're like, wow, my legs are not progressing the way I think they should be. But you haven't considered making a change to your meals and to your carbs, right? So then imagine if you started the next month and you decided that you're going to have a half a grapefruit, you're going to have a little cup of, like a quarter cup of oats, steel cut oats with some berries, some cinnamon on it, or it could be, a half of avocado toast. It could be whatever, rice, quinoa, potatoes, pancakes that are protein-based, a waffle, like get some of that good carb starch beforehand. And then imagine, if you can, where that pump is actually going to get to. Your 70% is going to increase. Your last load is not going to feel so fatigued that you're dying in the chair, right? Or standing at the bar. Okay. Am I making sense? Leg day, a must. Upper body day, absolutely, you still need carbs. Do you need to have as much surplus as you did on leg day? No, you can pull back a little bit. Are you somebody like myself who loves to lift heavy shit, but I also love a good long run? Or the last couple of years, I love getting on my bike and going 15 to 22 miles on my bike. Imagine, if you will, if I went out for that bike ride with no carbohydrates in my body whatsoever. Do you think I would make it to mile 15? Maybe, because I'm strong. But would I make it there without struggling and fatiguing and feeling like just low gas, right? But if I ate those good quality carbs and some of those simple carbs, and then I had a little gel pack with me of fruit or like that little Snickers bar or something halfway through, and then I got home and then I continued to pull the carbs into my body along with the protein and the fat, and then imagine how my recovery is going to be. So what I'm trying to say to you ladies, okay, is that carbs are so necessary. When we get into our 40s, especially for women in our 40s, it replenishes glycogen, what powers our strength training, reduces cortisol post-workout, supports thyroid function, helps convert T4 to T3, okay? Supports serotonin. So as we age, and I hear so often about this moodiness and the depression and the anxiety and things that I dealt with as well back then, but the good carbs are going to help offset that stuff. I want you to think about changing up your conversation about carbs. If you have any more questions, please reach out to me. I am the founder of the Midlife Movement. I am Coach Mary. I am just here to save you from yourself. Just remember that you cannot starve and strength train and be a high performance athlete at the same time.